Welcome to episode 3 of Dalek Bumps Question Time. Mr. Valliard asks, what direction do you feel the Daleks are going to take in the following series? Do you think it will continue what the Daleks were doing in Chibnall's era, or do you think they'll be doing something else due to the events of Flux and Power of the Doctor? It's almost impossible to predict what direction the Daleks will take in the future, as it's theoretically possible for a showrunner to do anything with them. I can only tell you what I would like to see happen. What I'd like to see from the Daleks in this new, bold reincarnation of Doctor Who is a meaningful and dedicated attempt to use what has come before to make the Daleks significant again. For one reason or another, Doctor Who has had an inconsistent run with the Daleks. Moffat had great ideas for them, but couldn't write for them consistently. Chibnall got the consistency and characterisation right, but sadly, his era as a whole was middling and ultimately failed to impress the majority of the pre-established fandom, let alone casual viewers. What we need from the Daleks is a return to form that builds off the themes and the stories and the universe that has been constructed by Daleks story writers for decades across many mediums, TV stories, reference books, comics, novels and audios alike, to give us a Dalek story to follow that is worth following. Many of the best Dalek stories in Doctor Who's history did more than just tell a story with the Daleks. They contributed to the wider Doctor Who world that includes the Daleks as one organic element of a huge network of concepts spanning the entire show's history. It sounds hugely optimistic, but I believe with the writing talent that Russell T Davies has at his disposal, both from his own talent, the team he has assembled, and the vast array of talented writers who love Doctor Who that he could reach out to, combined with the higher budget the show is getting, and the general greater interest in lore and expanded media stories in the fandom in general, and the development of the Daleks as a narrative element and as characters over the years, and the increasing importance of writing stories to warn children about the dangers of intolerance and hatred, I believe that Doctor Who could write some truly amazing stories with the Daleks, and I hope that it will be able to help them achieve their potential. We can only hope. Windrin1234 asks, if the Curator is a future incarnation of the Doctor, what would the status of the Daleks be in that future, suggesting that they could be wiped out due to infighting or by an external threat, or that they could eventually meet their end as a natural extrapolation of their xenophobic mindset and mutated biology. Personally, I think that one of the prerequisites for the Doctor retiring and becoming the Curator would be a final, indisputable end for the Daleks at some point in the distant extreme of their timeline. After all, one of the core foundations of the promise of calling themselves the Doctor was a result of the initial encounter with the Daleks on Skaro, which proved to the Doctor who he should be and what role he should play in the grand universal story. So in order to accept the mantle of Curator and leave the travelling life of the Doctor behind, the Curator must first witness, or more likely facilitate, the final end of the Dalek war machine, be it their total annihilation, eventually degenerating into beasts, or perhaps a better future in which they shed their hateful ways and evolve into something new. Perhaps we'll even see this event depicted at one point in a future Doctor Who story, not necessarily as an end to the Daleks' role in the show, but as an illustration of a possible eventual end to their species, just as Genesis of the Daleks shows us a possible beginning. Shrupple asks, what's the best way to get into custom Dalek figures? What kinds of paints do you use? What is your inspiration and ways to keep on focus with specific Daleks? That's a great question. The best way to start customizing Daleks is to pick your favourite Dalek design that hasn't been made into an official figure release, say the silver Dalek drone from the Time Lord Victoria series, grab a cheap Dalek toy, ideally one of the chunky early figures from series 1 to series 3, and also the paints and brushes you need to paint a model. I use Citadel paints, which you can buy online or at any Warhammer shop, because these are designed to be used for plastic painting and they also leave a really nice finish. You can use basically any kind of model brush, but the Citadel ones are a good choice. The advantage of going to the Warhammer shop is that you can not only ask the employees there for advice on which types of paints are best for different techniques, but you can also see the full range of colours and pick the ones that are perfect for the colour scheme you have in mind. Most Dalek customs take a few coats, starting with a couple of base coats and then the detailing. I often use a gloss over my customs to protect them and make them easier to brush dust off of, but this isn't necessary for beginners customs. It can be quite tricky getting the coat even, especially when it comes to the fiddly bits on the midsection, and painting the hemispheres is undoubtedly the most time-consuming aspect of the customization process. To help me focus on the task, I tend to listen to Big Finish audios while customizing, as the advantage of audios is that you can enjoy them while also working on another task and keep two parts of your brain active at once. That wraps up today's episode. As always, feel free to leave your questions in the comments below, and I will try and answer as many as possible in a future episode of Dalek Bumps Question Time.
Don't forget to click below to subscribe to Dalek Bumps.